expertise of our Nature Island Dominicans, at home and abroad. From our agriculture and industry to sustainable development, resilience and renewable energy to the music, art, and entertainment industries. Join Dr. Simone Matthew and guests every other Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We examine where they came from, where they have been, where they are now, and how we can move forward together with our brothers and sisters at home and abroad to inspire and elevate our country, our economy, our people, and our youth to achieve excellence and success. Roots Connections on Q, every other Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Only on Q95, the big station.
Jacob is calling his children. Where the price, so we walk. Oh, children, oh, to Zion, oh, wanna go, oh, to
Roots Connections on Q, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Good evening, Dominica, the rest of the Caribbean, and the rest of the world. And welcome to another episode of Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95, the big station. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it is always wonderful to be in your company for another episode of Roots Connections on Q, where we feature the change makers in our society. We feature the visionaries among us who are not sitting by the sideline talking about what we ought to be doing to move our people and our country forward, but we feature those who are on the front line of making the change and turning that passion that we all have for Dominica into action for Dominica. Because as we continue to witness, the world around us is changing very quickly. So here on Roots Connections, we engage with those visionaries as we explore topics such as the changes we should be concerned about, the changes we should be taking advantage of, and what changes we need to make in order to move our Caribbean region and our worldwide diaspora forward. So welcome. This is episode number 102 of Roots Connections on Q, and I am your host, Dr. Simone Matthew. As always, we have another packed program for you, and I am especially excited about this program because we are looking at new education and training opportunities for Dominica as Academix School of Learning recently partnered with Devry University. So I'm very happy we're joined by the director of the school, Mr. Heman Williams, and the assistant dean, Miss Wendy Wallace. So we're going to have a very engaging conversation as they share with us everything about how that partnership came about and what are the benefits Dominica stands to receive from this very important partnership. So again, it is great to be here with you. Before we get started, we always like to start by praying for Dominica and praying for all the challenges that we face in Dominica. We are so grateful to you, our audience, for always being on board with us, whether you're listening on the radio or you're listening and watching on YouTube and Facebook at Q95 FM Radio or on Push Past 10 on Facebook. We say good evening to you, Lambi. Thank you for being on the console. As always, it is always great to have you with us during the program. Good evening to Showin, Mr. G, and the rest of the Q95 family. As you come in on Facebook and YouTube, don't forget to share the live and click the notification button so you will always know when we go live. And I'm going to make a very special appeal this evening that you really share this information because, you know, we have so many young people in Dominica and what they're looking for is hope and direction. So this is an opportunity to give them that hope and that direction, because we all know the value and the importance of education and training. So I cannot wait for us to jump into the discussion. But before we do, let us say a warm Roots Connections welcome to our guests. We know that they have very busy schedules, so we want to thank them for taking some time out this evening to join us here on Roots Connection. So with that, we're going to ask them to unmute their mics and to tell us very quickly who they are, this being Roots Connections, their roots, their connections to Dominica, and just anything they would like to share in their introduction. So of course, human ladies first, right? So let's start with you, Wendy. And as you do so, I will go ahead and share the live to everyone who's waiting for the link. So Wendy, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Dr. Simone, and good evening to your viewers. My name is Wendy Wallace. I serve as the Deputy Dean at the Academix School of Learning in Portsmouth, where I assist our very capable and talented Dean, Mr. Aubrey Thomas, in assisting him with working on academic quality, student support, and really just managing our hybrid learning system across the various programs that we offer.
Excellent, and thank you for being here. And Heman, I've had the pleasure of interviewing you, but that was a few years ago. So welcome again to my platform, and just remind everyone who you are, your role at Academic School of Learning, and anything else you'd like to share at this point.
Thank you, Dr. Simone. Good evening to listeners. I am Mr. Heman Williams. I'm from Dominica. I'm the director of Academic School of Learning, and I provide all leadership and direction to this institution. Of course, I did not start it all on my own. I must make mention of my sister, Miss Giselle Williams Washi. She was always the financial brain. I stood as the academic brain. Not saying that she's not the academic one as well, but she is the one that knew all the stuff about the money, And my role involves developing the school's vision, managing academic and administrative operations, and ensuring that we maintain a high quality of educational standards. I also oversee partnerships. That is something we have to discuss today. I oversee partnerships and the integration of modern technology into our learning system. Though it will not be solely on me, because we have a very capable dean and that is able to handle this stuff. And in a sense, I ensure that academics remain at the forefront of innovation and accessible education in Dominica and across the Caribbean, because we're extending our wings now.
Yes, and I'm so proud of you, Heman, that to just see how Academic School of Learning has continued to grow and thrive. And I like the word that you use, expanding your wings. So we're going to get into that. But before we get started, just give us a little bit of a history of how you started and how you've grown over the years.
Well, Academic School of Learning was established with a mission to basically revolutionize education through technology driven learning. We always had that technology supposed to be in education. We started modestly, offering support for students preparing for CSEC examinations, high school dropouts, adults, needing education. And then we ventured into the KIP program after Hurricane Maria. So it's September 2018, that is when we started the KIP program, with a focus on interactive and personalized learning. So we were like, small school, family oriented, everybody knew everybody, and we built on that. Over the years, we have developed Academix into a recognized online institution. We do blended learning, but we have systems that can actually work with the online programs well, a wide range of academic programs, that is. But when building Academix, we did so without foreseeing any future disaster, yet with a clear vision to integrate technology into our educational framework. In 2019, When the global pandemic really forced the closure of in-person activity worldwide, we were fortunate to continue delivering content effectively through the system we already have had in place. Since then, we have made significant advancement. I can tell you that much. We have made significant advancement, adopting some of the world's leading educational technologies to enhance the quality of our content delivery. And our growth have been guided by a strong belief that education should be flexible, affordable, and accessible to everyone, regardless of the location. And in Dominica, what we have identified is that we don't have sufficient systems that can cater for some students with disabilities, and we have stories of that. But today, academics serve students locally and regionally, using tools that allows us to deliver engaging lessons, live discussions, and interactive assessments. This year we have really added something, to these tools that we already had with those interactive assessments. But we've also expanded into specialized programs like culinary arts, through international partnerships. We will be culinary arts school in Canada, to give students both academic and practical career paths. So I guess we'll learn a bit more about academics as we continue to speak tonight. But we are making some real headway in education, and I hope this will continue into the far future.
Yeah, and I want to come over to you, Wendy, so you can tell us more about the programs that you're offering, because we know you continue to grow. But him and you are absolutely correct, because what we saw with the pandemic is that many universities had to scramble to figure out online learning options. Some folks call it e-learning, virtual learning, online learning. It is all the same for those who are less familiar in our audience, but they had to scramble to figure out how to use the internet. That's what it boils down to teach courses. And I've been very fortunate because I've been with the University of Phoenix for about 16 years now, and all our programs are virtual, right? All our programs are offered online, so that students have had students from Germany, from Switzerland, here in the US, from the Caribbean, so that it broadens the field for everyone to be able to receive a high quality education. So what we saw in the pandemic, before the pandemic, there was this hesitation, right? Where people hesitated and said, well, online learning, is that really true learning? But then once the pandemic came, we saw everyone coming over to the online learning platform. So that in essence has validated. I mean, we didn't need validation before. We've been doing this since 1978, University of Phoenix, but that increased the validation of online learning. So I'm very happy to hear that Academix is embracing technology, because it is the way forward for education. And we'll also talk about the role in employment as well. But Wendy, let me come over to you so you can just tell our audience about the programs that you offer at Academix.
Thank you so much, Dr. Simone. I think it's almost a disservice if I do not express gratitude to Mr. Williams for bringing me on board. I started academics there about 2022. Sometimes old age kicks in. I think it's about 2022, 2023. And I have been so impressed with the vision of Mr. Williams. And that was me fresh out of university, returning home. I did not have intentions to remain home, but when I saw the visionary work that Mr. Williams was doing in education and how he sought to transform education in Dominica, I was like, I'm staying on board, and I've been on board ever since, supporting him. I started off as a part-time lecturer, and now in like a few years, I'm assisting Mr. Williams as his deputy dean. So I must express gratitude to him.
Mhm.
And over the years, we have definitely sought to increase our program offerings. We have such a wide range of courses, from degree programs in law,
Hmm.
not paralegal studies, but CAPE law, engineering, agriculture, and we have some of the more new generation courses, which are more in tune with the digital global economy that we're working towards and we're seeking to educate our students towards. And that would include courses in the fields of visual and digital arts communication. That would include programs like game and animation design. We know the gaming industry is a big industry, one of the largest growing industries in the world right now. So students can actually have an opportunity to create games the same way that games like PUBG and Call of Duty are making billions of dollars, students right here in Dominica can take advantage of that opportunity. Mr. Williams is smiling because I'm a big PUBG player. Yes, we also we also have courses in digital media, which I think is quite fitting for the direction that we're heading in Dominica, especially with the increase in the music industry and the film industry. I know which we're seeking to move towards. So these are just some of the courses that we offer, in addition to some very more tech courses like culinary arts. I'm always very excited about culinary arts. And now we would have newly introduced this year or newly launched baking and pastry. And these courses are in collaboration with a partnership that Mr. Williams would have established earlier on with Ruby Culinary Arts School out of Canada.
Hmm. Yeah, and I certainly want to explore that more because I can read my audience's mind, and I know they're already thinking, well, culinary is such a hands-on profession. So how do you teach culinary education from Canada? Again, the beauty of technology. So I want you to explain that further into the program. But for those who might be considering a more traditional path, do you offer traditional degrees like, the usual accounting, principles of business, maybe law? So do you offer those degrees as well?
Absolutely. We have basically all the business courses from accounting to management of business. We have tourism. We have degrees in entrepreneurship. Uh, and the list goes on. We definitely do have law. We have courses in the sciences as well, natural sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, and so we have the whole yard really. I think I must make mention, of course, of the caliber of teachers and instructors that we have at Academix. One of the things that we have sought to move away from and sought to introduce in our instruction, we have sought to improve our instruction quality. So we have made changes over the years to essentially be strategic in the way that we do conduct our hirings, to really look for industry experts to educate our students, as
Mhm.
opposed to a student fresh out of school with the book knowledge or the content knowledge without the required technical skills and on the job experience, and which is important, of course, but sometimes we have to take a step back and look to the best quality that we can afford in education. And this is what we offer at Academics.
Yeah, and that aligns very well with best practices for your instructors because even 16 years later, I have to take continuing education courses to remain active as an adjunct professor, associate professor of psychology at University of Phoenix, because what these institutions of higher education want to see is that their faculty continues to remain qualified and involved in their fields to be able to bring to the students the latest information, the latest opportunities that exist in those fields so that the students are not being taught information from 1995 and we are now in 2005. So that is an excellent best practice. So I'm happy to hear that you guys are doing that. But let's just talk about your student population. So about how many students you would say you have currently, and how many instructors do you have, just to get a sense of the magnitude, the size of your institution.
Over the years, we have grown. We started in with the CAPE program. I think the first year in 2018, we had 29 CAPE students. 29, and as Miss Wallace told us here tonight, that we wanted the best staff. We wanted to ensure that we have a chemist doing chemistry. We wanted an accountant to teach the accounts, a lawyer to teach the law, and this was, a real stretch for us as we started with the CAPE program. But now we can boast that we are registering about 190 students last year in both CAPE and CSEC subjects. We have north of 200 students that would be at our institution, and this is encouraging in 2025. From 2018 to 2025, from 29 to speak about 200, this is significant growth.
Mm-hmm.
And in these 200, we have students overseas. We have students in Grenada. We have students in Montserrat. We have students in Barbados. We have students in Antigua. We have in the BVI. We are expanding. As I said, we're expanding our wings. But as we seek to build, we have to tap into these markets, and of course, with our system, we can deliver the education that they would need. Like in Montserrat, we had students getting ones in pure maths, and that's really impressive, and that giving us the extra motivation to keep going.
Yeah, certainly. And so if I recall correctly, you're located in the Portsmouth area?
Yes,
Because I remember one of the things we talked about when you were first on was the fact that the state college was in Roseau, the Stock Farm area. So it was quite inconvenient for students from the north to be able to attend the state college. So that is why Academix was strategically located in Portsmouth. So what areas of Dominica do you see a lot of your students coming from? And then we also have to talk, because, one of my major concerns that I always address on this program is the crisis of our young men. So, given what Ms. Wallace talked about in terms of gaming, in terms of technology, in terms of digital media, which we see a lot of young men interested, I just wanted to know what your population of young men looks like. So what areas do you serve in Dominica?
Well, in Dominica, the entire country,
Okay.
we have students. We have students as in Casibus. We have students Carib Territory, Laplin, Stowe, Bacatel. And because of our poor bus system, and the amount of courses that the students have to cover, it is very difficult to have a student come down in the morning and have to move back to home so that they could have a class at about 1 o'clock. So we had to, that stretched us in order for us to get our system up to par and get our teachers as well to be able to use the system so that they could deliver the content. So now students can, limit the amount of travel, and students can even work during the time of going to school, because we know out of the economies and individuals indeed have to finance themselves. So it's not something that we wanted to encourage, but that is the reality of things. Individuals do have to help their families to find some form of employment, and they still have to get educated. And I firmly am an educator, so I believe that individuals must be educated in this generation.
Yeah, and you certainly outlined the benefits of online learning in what you said, because we find a lot of adults being attracted to online learning for that very reason that you mentioned, because they have to maintain a job, they have a family that they need to be taken care of. They don't have the time or the resources to be commuting back and forth to a physical location. So the opportunity to take your courses online is a wonderful idea. So at some point, we'll talk about exactly how your e-learning portal works, because we know that many of our more advanced adults, we won't say old, senior, they are reluctant to learn new technology, but many of them would benefit from continuing their education, from earning their degrees, but they are scared of technology. So we'll talk a little bit about how your e-learning platform works, if you provide an orientation and all that good information. But Wendy, let me come to you and just ask the population of our young men, if you have a number, or even by just looking at the student body, what are we seeing? And I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because the last time I asked that question, I asked it to Trudy Christian at the State College, and she unfortunately informed me that 80% of the student body female, 20% a male. And to me, that is startling, that is troubling, that is a crisis. So let's hope you have better numbers for me. But if you don't, that's okay.
I wish I had better numbers, but I think the statistics is reflective of the situation at Academix. I would say about 20 to 30%, if I could stretch that far, Mr. Williams. 20 to 30%, if that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
that is truly
But
unfortunate. Go ahead.
I do I do understand the situation with the low numbers of male students at our schools. And at the end of the day, we are running a tertiary institution. And majority of the courses that we host, that we offer, are traditional courses. And a lot of our boys are being pushed into more skills training courses. And that
Mm-hmm.
goes back, or it links back to the whole discussion of whether education is in fact important. When you are encouraging young men to, instead of pursuing a higher degree of education, become tailors or become, that sort of thing, more hands-on in terms of the opportunities that they pursue. But don't get me wrong, these are all services that we definitely need. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem with promoting skills without grounding our students, grounding our young men in theory, is a risk that we will continue to take, to create a generation of workers as opposed to innovators. And Mr. Williams would have started with the term education, innovation in education. Skills training is valuable, but without understanding the why behind what we do, we are going to limit a level, or the required level of creativity and discovery that we need. And where the other territories across the world, like in the East, are moving forward in areas of innovation and discovery, we are basically the workers behind their discovered products. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that the progress that we need and the levels that we need to encourage our young men, there needs to be a balance. And I think at Academix, we believe in that balance. And the programs that we have combine that level of practical training and, of course, the academic depth, so that our students are not only employable within the traditional fields, but they also will be employable in fields relating to culinary arts. For instance, when I mean numbers of male students are alarming, but when we look at the numbers of students that graduated from our culinary arts program for the first time, It's not alarming. In fact, it is impressive to see the number of male culinary art students that actually graduated the first year we launched that program. So, notwithstanding their losses in that statistics, there are definitely some wins that we have to appreciate.
Yeah, and I think you explained it very well. So, do you want our young people to simply be workers? And we're not demeaning skills in any sense of this conversation. So, we're not saying that skills such as plumbing, such as tiling, like you mentioned, we're not saying that those skills are not important. But when it comes to career advancement, right? You kind of, it's just like here in the US, you can be the best events planner. And we know that many of our young men like to work with their hands. But let me just use the example of an events planner, because I know of someone who is a fantastic events planner, but her opportunities are limited and restricted, because once you go into the bigger avenues, the bigger institutions, what are they asking for? A degree, right? So we're saying those skills are important, but in the modern age, you need something to back that up. So I'm very happy to hear about the young men being attracted to the culinary field. So I want us to explore that in a little bit more details. But the question I have for you guys, do you guys offer associate degrees, bachelor's degrees? Let's talk about the actual offerings, and where do students go from academics? Do they go into the world of work, or do you find that most of your students continue their education?
Yeah, we do offer, we started by offering associate degrees in various courses. We have the natural sciences, associate in natural sciences, associate in accounting, entrepreneurship, tourism, law. We have economics as well. We have quite a few associate degrees, but as we gain experience to write recommendation for students to go to different universities in the world, saying that the CAPE program is accredited in all Commonwealth countries and have articulation agreements, CXC have articulation agreements with the American universities, then we have learned over the years that students can do the individual courses, and these individual courses can fast track their education or get them into the universities with the courses that they need to get exempted. And we don't want to like promote just doing individual courses, but and not the associate degree, but individuals can just do, let's say, their law courses. Like for example, Ajanaya Kazimi. I guess we have heard this name, our
Yes.
famous writer in
Yes.
Dominica. He did 9 courses at DSME, 9 CSEC courses, and his dad, such an energetic man, that have the belief that his son is able to do anything that he wants to. Called and asked for his son to just do 4 courses, like the 2 French courses and the 2 law courses. And he excelled in these courses. And from that, he went straight to the University of the West Indies to pursue his law program. And that shows that it is possible to maybe, can I say, evade the associate degree and fast track your education. Yeah, so that is something we kind of promote as we understand the systems. We have students that went to Latvia, to Romania, New Zealand. We have students that are studying computer systems in England, Canada. We have students all over the world, and they request different things. The associate degree would be a big plus, But sometimes, if you want to be a doctor, I can advise somebody, you want to be a doctor, do all the science courses, do your two maths courses, and do the IT courses that will possibly help you through. Now, this compilation of courses will not give you the CXC associate degree, right? But these courses will get you into a university and have you exempted to when you pursue your degree. So yes, we are doing quite a few in the how is it, postgraduate. But when we looked at the argument of Devry, we wanted to go a little beyond.
Mhm.
There's where we now can offer through DeVry the bachelor's degree program, not in technology and healthcare and businesses. They will not be able to do all the courses, but we have quite a few, and Miss Wallace will actually discuss that with us a little later. And also master's degree program that is for DeVry. So we have really excelled. So now we can offer associate degree, bachelor's degree, and now master's degree program to Dominican students.
And this is so exciting. Everybody knows education is my jam. If we want to have a conversation, I'm going to be most excited about is education. And for me, it's very personal because I think all of us can agree that education, that training is the great equalizer, right? Because many of us come from very humble beginnings in Dominica, and it is through education and through training that we were able to create our own paths to success, to the point that now we're able to come back and invest in our countries, whether we do it physically on the ground or we use technology to be able to make a contribution. So what I did, I already went and posted your website, your email address, and your contact information. So I'm going to share it a few times during the program for anyone who's wanting additional information. So guys, grab a pen, grab a paper, grab the notes section of your phone so you can write down this information. And again, my appeal to everyone who's listening, yes, you in particular might not require education, training for job opportunities, for advancement, but there are young people that you may know that could benefit from this information. So the website for Academix is going to be www.academixsol.com. So let me say that again, www.academixsol.com. Their email address, academics, so the same word, academixsol@outlook.com, and their main phone number, area code 767-317-6144. Again, area code 767-317-6144. And I usually reserve this information for the end of the program, but because I so believe in what you guys are doing, I want to share this information a few times. Sharon Darival, great to see you on the Facebook Live. I know we have a number of people watching. If you want to be acknowledged for being here with us, just let us know where you're tuning in from, and we will be sure to recognize you for being with us. So I want us to talk about the Devry opportunity. But before we do, let's just kind of talk about some of your successes and challenges that you've experienced along the way. So Wendy, if you can chime in, what are some of your greatest successes? I know now you have like sports teams. So it's a complete and full institution, which is something I like. So do you have maybe clubs? Because I'm just thinking of folks who might be listening, who might be interested. So beyond the academics, what else do you offer to your students?
Yes, we do have an extended program beyond academics. We have a number of clubs, not the traditional way, because we are not an in-person school.
Right.
So just bear in mind that we have to find a way to create this academic balance with students to afford them extracurricular opportunities beyond the course content that they are engaging with throughout the year. So we do have a number of clubs. We have debate clubs. We have debated in the past against, and it's always been this very friendly battle between against the Dominica State College, and we are 2-2. 2-2. And debate is something I'm passionate about. I've been their debate coach for the past 3-4 years. So I'm just very excited when the students to really see the students' growth over the years, especially when I get the students so very timid, and then they're hitting the mics with such vigor and passion to debate against the state college team. So I'm always very excited to see them. We do have STEM clubs. So in the past, the STEM club has taken advantage of the opportunity to really push and encourage students across Portsmouth. So they would have on occasions invited students from the St. John's Primary School, RDPS, schools across Portsmouth, and engage them in various science projects and really bring that excitement in the STEM field that we tend to be lacking in Dominica. We also have Adventurous Club to give students who are on the more adventurous side an opportunity to explore Dominica, and they would have even engaged in with the division, the forestry division, in understanding how drones work. So these are just very exciting opportunities that the students have engaged in. The students have engaged in so many different cleaning campaigns and other environmental activities to create that level of environmental awareness that we need, especially when we're talking about creating a country that is resilient, and we're also moving towards building our green energy industry. So beyond that, I think what these extracurriculum opportunities afford to students is a wider lens, is to look at their traditional fields with a wider lens. One of the things I tell the students all the time, listen, you're doing law, persons are going to tell you, listen, the law field is pretty inundated with attorneys. Like, we don't need any other attorneys.
I've
But we
heard that.
do. No one has really stopped about the gaps there are in certain fields. So there are opportunities where students can become sports lawyers. In accounting, some of the students have been exposed to forensic accounting. Yes, so there is always a way to marry your interests with your traditional field to open a career that is lacking within Dominica. And I think that's been important in really pushing some of the extracurricular activities beyond just having them engage in extracurricular activities. It goes beyond that, is to really allow them to see the combination and to see the collaboration they can make with their interests and their traditional career choice. I think on top of that, I can essentially speak, of course, about our sports club. Mr. Williams has been every coach there has been, from basketball coach to cricket coach to volleyball coach to athletics coach, you name it. I don't think he can run as quick as they can anymore. But he has been leading he has been leading the different teams quite passionately, even within the hybrid space that we're in. And on top of that, I think finally I would mention some of the local partnerships that we would have built over the years to allow persons that practical learning experience. So through our internship/apprenticeship program.
And some of those partnerships are, because I think that's important.
Yes, we have partnered in the past with Pays in Portsmouth, in Lago. It's the tourism yachting company. And the students would have engaged, especially during the tourist season, especially the tourism students, because we do have such an amazing, passionate lecturer, Mrs. Hector, really leading that course. And in fact, the first year she came on with us, she actually got like 100% passes in entrepreneurship with, I think, one of the largest classes at Academix in her first year, that was pretty impressive. So you can really see how these industry experts are really showing their passion and passing on that passion, transferring that passion to the students. We've also had students intern at medical facility in Ozo. Don't think the
Mhm.
name is coming to me right now, but the science students have been exposed to engaging in the science field and lab work in Portsmouth,
Mhm.
in
Yeah, and I
town.
think,
Sorry,
and I
Roseau.
think, and I think that is important. The hands-on aspect of the training is important. Heman, anything you wanted to add? Because we will have lots of time to talk about Devry and the culinary program. But I cannot help but going back to the low enrollment by the male students. And I just want to kind of throw it out there in terms of why do we think that is the case? Because we've heard reasons such as, well, the young men need role models at school because maybe about 95% of our teachers in the lower level, the primary level, the high school level, are female. So there might be a natural tendency to teach more to the girls. So I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts? You being on the ground, the both of you, what are your thoughts? How do we address this problem? How do we attract more young men to continue their education? Because I truly feel like they're falling by the wayside because those who are not actively engaged in skills training, they're sitting on the block, and I see them when I go to Dominica. So what is the solution?
Um, I feel, you see your opinion, the opinion that you just gave, that we have a lot of young ladies teaching and so
Yeah.
on. That could be subjective, I would say.
Mhm.
But young men, we had few young men doing courses at academics and they excel. Actually, the first person that brought academics name to the Caribbean was a young man. He was the top in accounting um, in academics in 2020, right? Right during the pandemic time. But I feel we have a little issue with um, young men and the way they see life, I would say. You see, the perception of education, sometimes people may let it appear to be kind of more feminine. You see, like
Mm.
we tend to kind of lose that visible male mentors, we can say, since you make mention of the young ladies that would be teaching, but we cannot control what happens in the lower levels.
Right.
Um, but we also have that economic pressure, I believe, and many choose short-term income over long-term education. And that is one issue we have in Dominica. As to why we could all build up our ideas, but economic pressure is one of the main issues.
Mhm.
And there's a lack of what I would consider relevance. They don't see, the young men don't see how school connect to their real goals. And what are the real goals? We could debate that. Some of them career, they seem to look at those of the past, how they have made it. And they are not seeing long-term career goals. They seem to be focused more on independence, and they have, some of them have low confidence in academic subjects. Why? How can you be a professional, let's say a contractor, and you cannot read through a contract and understand the fine prints? I mean, we're not telling a contractor to go into the legal field, but they need to understand the importance of those things. We have young men that cannot write a proper application. They are exploited. And why are they exploited? Because they are talented, as Miss Wallace indicated, that we prepare young men to be workers, instead of we building the careers. And these are troubling facts, right? We tend to say that they are not academically inclined, but yet still want them to build houses and understand why expansion of steel will let the wall crack. You know, you don't have to wait for experience for it to happen to learn. You're supposed to learn it theoretically, and then you can bring it to your field. And that technical and hands-on pathway that we tend to force onto the young men, which is something good. You can make some money as a result of that. But now, let's say, for example, let's just use mechanic, and we can speak long on that. Let's use auto mechanics now.
Yes.
We have vehicles that are hybrid. We have vehicles that are electrical vehicles nowadays, and we have vehicles that will come with more sensors now than they were before in the time of Bedford, when you had a vehicle with very little lines. Now I have a little knowledge in mechanic. Now, in order for you to diagnose issues now, you would have individuals with the hotel diagnostic tool. They can plug it on the vehicle, and it can indicate to you which sensor or what is happening within the engine through the information that was sent to the computer. Now, if you just teach somebody skills, how to take out the brakes, how to slacken a knot, of course people can do that. But how would they be able to diagnose properly and to be able to fix the type of vehicles that we are getting now? China have vehicles now that dance to music. Yeah, China have vehicles that want to fly. We have vehicles now that doing so many things. Lane assist. We have vehicles that will hold bricks for you. Even you sleeping in vehicles now, and vehicles driving. Now we are seeing a lot of changes in the world. But while we're seeing all these changes, we are not building the young men for this type of change, because we believe they just need the skill. They just need to be able to fix. But I feel it's a big issue
It is.
to work on. Maybe young men like me have to be able to speak to young men. you
I
know,
said that's exactly what I was thinking.
Outside the young women have to go and speak to the young men, because maybe they would not learn the things I would like to share with them as a man. If a young woman go to speak to them. But these are big issues that we have to fix. These are issues that must be addressed.
Yeah, and you said it very brilliantly. You made so many valid points on that. But again, it really is going to boil down to, because that same peer pressure that are keeping many of our young men away from education is going to be the same peer pressure that has to encourage them to follow a different path. And we can spend all this time talking about the very valid points that you made about technologies advancing and the skills that you could use in the past to be able to secure work is not going to apply in the future, because you're going to need to understand the technology. You're going to need to understand contracts. But it's about engaging the other young men who are already on that trajectory, that are already on the path, engaging them and getting them to mingle with these young men who seem so demotivated in Dominica. And it just seems like a sense of a lack of investing in the future and just living for today. And that is why we see so much reckless behavior, all the motorcycle accidents, the gun violence, the shootings and the killings of our young men. I feel like this is a crisis and we're not paying attention. We're just not paying attention. So thank you so much for expounding on that. Wendy, you had anything you want to contribute? And then Lambi, we're going to come over to the studios to open the phone lines.
I agree with Mr. Williams' sentiments. All of these factors sit together. We see when young men look at the older generations, they believe that they're going to advance in the same way. They see men who built houses by learning on the job, never having received that certification. Men who farmed without any formal knowledge of agriculture. And we moved beyond field agriculture to move into hydroponics and agro processing, fields that require a lot more technical and scientific knowledge. Men who worked in construction without certification. And they think that these paths that these older men took will likely to lead to their success. So they they don't take a step back and prepare properly for the long term. And like Mr. Williams said, they are so transfixed on quick independence. When a boy, when young men leave school to mix concrete or to go and drive a backhoe or to work on a boat, he's going to earn money right away. So he believes that he is set. So he stopped moving forward to any kind of formal education. But beyond working, putting up blocks or simple tiling, he cannot move into managing the site without he receives some level of certification. He cannot become certified in heavy equipment. He cannot enter tourism management without any kind of formal qualifications. You see the boys on the wayside that you spoke about, selling items by the road, things like that. They earn now, but they don't go beyond that. So when we look at what is required now, we're seeing that, and you mentioned it earlier, the world is now demanding stronger skills because we are becoming more automated. You know, jobs in hospitality now need certification. Jobs in health services need training. Jobs in ICT more than ever needs real technical knowledge. And when they skip that stage, what they're doing is being stuck where they are. They're limiting the future. So when we speak about solutions, we're talking about early interventions. And I think one of the things that I always stress about, emphasize on, is data, the importance of reliable data, and not data from what we sit on our high chairs and assume. We cannot create solutions and initiatives based on assumptions. We have to go out and hear from the horse's mouth themselves their challenges and what it is that why they are stuck where they are. The same peer pressure, like you mentioned, that pulls them away is the same peer pressure that we can use to guide them towards a different path. Take for instance, and I will leave on that note, take for instance, look at the amount of youth groups. Majority of youth groups in Dominica are led by women, by young girls.
Yes.
And the few youth groups or the few youthful groups that are being led by males, by young men, are what? Sports groups, right? We can take advantage of that. When you look at a team, when you look at a sports team, they train together, they stay disciplined, they study, even study together, they roll together, they stay together, and they want to go where the other one go. We can use that. We can ensure that we have a group of positive young men that they can rely on. You know, the same principle works for boys, these young men who are drifting off. If they're closest friends, if they have very close friends that value training, we don't need to go. Yes, mentorship is okay, but sometimes young people, we can be very headstrong. We like to hear from each other. You understand? Sometimes when our parents chat so much in our head, it can get so daunting and frustrating. So sometimes parents would reach out to us and say, talk to my daughter, I feel like I talking too much, or talk to my son, I feel like I talking too much. And when we speak to them, Mr. Williams can tell you, we get through to them. And we push them to see them walk down the aisle. We see them walk down the aisle to graduate and collect their certificates. So I think that while peer pressure shapes their choices, but then again, we have a very youthful team at Academics.
Yes, I
As you
can
can see
tell.
from Miss,
I can tell.
we do have a very youthful team. So I think we do have this very special way of connecting to the students and
Yes.
to help create that positivity among them and shift them in the direction that is going to result in positive choices.
Well, I'm really impressed by the responses that you guys give because it tells me that it is not a situation that you're blinded to, that you're very well aware of the situation going on with our young men. And so it is a conversation. I will continue to make the appeals. I will continue to bring up this conversation because something needs to be done. So let us go over to the student. I promise as soon as we come back, we're going to dive right into the new opportunity with Devry University. But if you joined us late into the program, you are watching and listening to Roots Connections on Q, and we are talking about new education and training opportunities for Dominica as Academix School of Learning partners with Devry University. And we're joined by two of the esteemed members of Academix, Miss Wendy Wallace, as well as the director, Mr. Heman Williams. So with that, let's go over to the studio, Lambie, so you can invite the callers to join the conversation.
The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. Those are local numbers. The overseas or international number, 305-432-9624. Let me run those one more time. Numbers, local numbers, 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. The overseas or international number, 305-432-9624. Back to you, Simon.
Yes, thank you. And we want to acknowledge everyone who's joining us on Facebook and YouTube. Sharon Dorival, thank you for sharing the program. And I hope that everyone will share this program so that our young people and our not so young people who are looking for educational opportunities will receive the information that they're looking for. Elise Charles, thank you for being here. Petra Carbon, George, always great to see you. She says, good evening. Allison Ajmal is joining us from Conyers, Georgia. Allison, you're my neighbor. Nice to have you on board. I'm in McDonough, Georgia. And Kathy Robinson is here with us. And she says, good point on using positive peer pressure. Yes, so when we were talking about how do we reach the young men. So let's jump right into the conversation about Devry University, because this is such an exciting opportunity for Dominicans. You know, we talked about the fact that visas becoming more difficult to come by. And I sincerely believe that the future of work, the future of education is remote learning, where you will have no borders. You will be able to learn from any university, and where no matter where in the world you are, and receive your degree. So I'm right on board with supporting the work that you're doing. And if anyone from Devry is listening or watching, we want to commend them and thank you for always investing in Dominica, because you guys would remember when Ross University was in Dominica, Devry was also partnering with Ross University. Unfortunately, we lost Ross and we lost Devry as well. So it is great to see that they're back and continuing to invest in Dominica. So Heman, let me start with you. How did this partnership come about?
Well, Devry has always served as a model and inspiration for academics. My My sister worked there as an accountant, a financial. She was a manager. Yes, I would say yes. And we actually sat at Ross, to put some plans together. But years ago, what really caught my attention was Ross University, which was then owned by Devry, implemented an innovative system for content delivery in Dominica. They call it media site. So students could come on the campus, but students could also stay in their apartments, around Picard, and they could actually view all the content that the professors would be delivering. And even our dean used to be the ones that used to provide the media to them. So you can see we're building a nice core team here. But I was fascinated by this approach and began exploring, I would say, ways to integrate similar methods in academics. And though we were on a small budget, we recognize those challenges. Of course, we cannot compare with us, but we tried. And at that time, DeFi demonstrated a strong commitment to innovation and professional development. And that was some time ago, though. That was a long time ago. That DeFi offered their staff professional certificates and degree programs. And after the devastation of Hurricane Maria, I mean, I given you the real breakdown how we actually come to
Yes.
communicating with DeVry. After the devastation of Hurricane Maria and the eventual departure of Ross University, and of course, they were sold over to Attalem, I reached out to DeVry. My research revealed that they had launched an initial program, I think, Bridge to Brilliance program in Bahamas, and that was designed to expand educational opportunities through online learning. But they were venturing in the Caribbean space. Now, seeing the potential for Dominica, I contacted Devry to explore bringing this initiative to our land. I mean, I reached a point to understand now that when you ask of someone something, there's two answers: yes or no.
I feel the same way.
So,
Or they might just not answer you. That has happened to me. Some people just don't respond.
and if they don't respond, you'll take it for a no, right? So, so fortunately, a meeting was arranged, and in 2019, it's quite a long time ago, a memorandum of understanding was signed between Academix and Devry. And we even welcomed a Devry representative in Dominica that year. And everything was set for a promising start. Devry was the one that actually sent me for my visa in order for me to come up to America in symposiums. I was already booked for Miami and Chicago, and the global pandemic struck,
Oh boy.
and that disrupted operations worldwide, and it just put a pause on everything Academics and Devry. The MOU was cancelled, because international universities wanted to build within the country. I mean, you could not deal with Caribbean Caribbean students. We could not travel. We could not do things. So this was cancelled. It broke me down a bit.
Yes, I can
Despite,
imagine. I can imagine.
despite this setback and the economic pressure, after the pandemic, the vision never faded. Throughout 2024, Miss Wallace consistently encouraged me to reconnect with DeFi, reconnect with
Good,
DeFi.
good.
And in 2025, I started to send mails. So I had few contacts, few mails, and we officially reignited the partnership with Devry. So I actually contacted Devry Works, and I contacted them, I think, 2 days before I was called, I had to call a meeting with the dean and the assistant dean and the lead administrative personnel. And I came to the meeting with plans, and I tell them these plans can actually change only if Devry respond to me. But I made contact. And while in the meeting, we got a call from Devry. And I'm telling them, listen, I have to leave the meeting. I have to leave the meeting. I must take this call. So today we are proud to say that students in Dominica are actively enrolled in Devry degree programs under the Renewed Bridge to Brilliance initiative. And just as Devry once helped Dominica economy through the education of Ross University employees, many of whom now serve in key roles in different sectors in the country. This partnership once again opened a lot of doors for national development through accessible and we know world-class education because DIVRA is regionally accredited. And if people have to understand regional accreditation and national accreditation, then they would know when you are regionally accredited, then the entire world would actually accept your programs. And when you're nationally accredited, like for example, um, why is that school name? Um, not Preston is regionally accredited. The name keeps slipping me, but there are some.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah, it will come back. But there are some schools that are nationally accredited in America, and they would be recognized by their state, right? But DIVRA is regionally accredited, and the entire world you can go with their degrees there. So that is a big plus for us, and we signed the agreement in earlier this year, like in this summer, right after our financial year started, in July, thereabout, and then we had the launch, and this really this was parachuted, man. It went so fast, because of all the data that was collected over the years, over that 5 years. We did not have to do so much in order for us to build back that relationship. So I'm happy, to be honest with you. I feel an extra fire in me, to
Oh, yeah.
continue. Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah, and a very important congratulations, such an important milestone. But I'm sure our audience is curious to find out exactly what degrees, certificate programs are being offered for Divide, the length of the courses. Is it by semester like the US operates? So, Wendy, if you can tell us more about the program offerings that are available through DeVry as students currently enrolled, the qualifications. How do you qualify to be a part of this wonderful initiative?
Absolutely. So there are a range of quite flexible, globally recognized degree options, like Mr. Williams would have referred to it. And it is really designed to meet the needs of very important industries that are growing globally. So there are areas of study including healthcare, cybersecurity, business, financial management, hospitality and tourism, all of which have specialized pathways to support professional development within various fields. Under the Bridge to Brilliance scholarship, DeVry would have essentially introduced in the Caribbean and have made it available to Dominicans. It is a partnership that is referred to as a workforce development partnership, in the sense that the programs are curated and designed to prepare or to allow students to get a direct pathway to employment upon completion. And they have had tremendous success in doing that over the years. So when we look at different industries within Dominica, I'm not going to even extend beyond Dominica. Let's look, for instance, within Dominica, let's look at the hospitality industry, which we know tends to be quite lacking in terms of certification in certain areas. Under this initiative, Students can actually gain access to these flexible, fully online programs that range from certificate programs, associate degree, undergraduate degree programs, and all the way up to graduate degree programs. So this scholarship is
That's what I was going to ask. Uh-huh.
yes, this scholarship is not limited to undergraduate programs. You can actually achieve a master's degree under this scholarship opportunity. Take, for instance, persons who may already be in or already employed in the financial institutions. And we know that there are significant gaps within our financial institutions. Devry has, over the years, sought out these gaps. They have partnered with so many different industries, banks, telecommunication companies, to find out what these gaps are. What are your employees missing, so that we can assist to fill in and fill that gap, to well advance your leadership and educational development programs. So when we look at the financial institutions, Devry has quite pretty much stackable programs to afford employees digital and data skills. So they have their programs in data analytics for business, for decision making, financial data visualization, cybersecurity, specifically for financial services, digital transformation within that field. So it's not limited to educating their employees in banking and finance. Majority of them already actually have degrees in banking and finance. Is to really look at the gaps within their industry, their industry, particularly in ICT. And Devry is actually leading in these three areas. Devry is pretty much well known for being
Yes.
one of the top schools leading in technology, and all of the courses that they offer has elements of tech infused in these courses. When we look for when we take, for instance, the hospitality industry, there are gaps similarly. We're talking about customer service optimization, leadership in hospitality, revenue management, digital transformation in tourism. Jamaica, when sometimes, sometimes we tend to run all the way to the east. I love the education system in the east, but sometimes we have examples right here within the Caribbean. Jamaica is one of these examples. One of these Caribbean countries leading in the digitization in tourism. So there are opportunities where tourists can actually get this VR view of where they're going and look for adventure opportunities within Jamaica without even being there. So all of these experiences, all of these industries, we're seeing the growing digitization of improvements. And that is what Devry has sought to do. So even, when we look at the police force, there's opportunities to involve cybersecurity, forensic, communication skills, even for police officers. So it's not limited to a degree in criminal justice. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what Devry is offering. To qualify, applicants applicants need to possess at least 5 CXC passes. But if you have CAPE qualifications, I must say that it will serve as an added advantage. In fact, some of your credits will transfer over to reduce the amount of credits that you will have to take. On very rare occasions, would we find situations where a student has never done CSEC courses, but they've done CAPE courses, possibly the older students, and they also would be accepted because CAPE is a step ahead of CSEC. And sometimes persons tend to confuse the two. CSEC is a secondary school qualification. CAPE is like an associate degree program, so it's at the tertiary level. So it replaces A level. All of these programs are offered online. The scholarship is afforded to persons in Dominica who wish to pursue their degree right here in Dominica without having to travel to the US. And you mentioned one of the limitations, one of the restrictions right now in traveling to the US. So this is essentially what the scholarship offers. I think beyond the 50%, what I would leave off with is the fact that students, there is no application fee. A lot of
Mhm.
these US and UK universities do have very high application fees that students sometimes feel uncertain that because they are non-refundable, right? And especially in this tight hole economy that we have, that we are in, it is quite risky, and it can be a deterrent for students to pursue or to even seek to pursue a degree. So I think that adds an advantage to students right here in Dominica. Listen, the Bridge to Brilliance model has already been introduced across the Caribbean, in St. Lucia, in the Bahamas, in Jamaica, and companies, students are already working and experiencing these measurable benefits in workforce readiness and retention and leadership development and advancement in their jobs. So I think it's going to be a missed opportunity if anyone from Dominica loses or misses this advantage.
Yes, this is wonderful news. This is great, great, great news. And again, congratulations on securing that partnership because DeVry University is a worldwide recognized name. So if you have your degree from DeVry, you can go and work anywhere in the world. It just opens up a whole world of opportunities for you and just being able to do it from Dominica and not having to worry about, visa requirements. And if you're going to lose your visa because, you missed a certain requirement for the semester. But the length of the program, so is it based on the semester system up here in the US where you have a spring semester and a fall semester? And what does that look like? And you also mentioned scholarships. So, once you say scholarships, Dominicans' eyes get very big because they're thinking, I don't have to pay for this. So does everyone who get into that program receive a scholarship? Or is it a partial scholarship, or do some people receive scholarships? So we have to make sure we clarify that.
Yes. So to clarify, of course, every qualified Dominican student who is accepted into a program will be afforded the 50% scholarship.
Mm.
That is the opportunity in addition to the waived application fee. In term, DeVry operates with 6 entry points each year, and each session lasts about 8 weeks. So
Okay.
currently we're in one semester, and one semester will be ending soon, and students can apply for the upcoming semester. In terms of the scholarships, yes, definitely, it's called the Bridge to Brilliance Scholarship. So really and truly, Dr. Simone, DeVry is back. You mentioned DeVry was here before, affording opportunities to the employees of Ross University, and they're back. And they're back, and they would have expanded that opportunity to the rest of Dominica. I don't think there's anything else we need after that. So in terms of the scholarship, I can definitely give a breakdown because I know a lot of people are anticipating what the cost looks like. It's one of the questions that we
Yes.
get all the time. You know,
Yes.
in fact, just I guess in the lead up to the launch, to the DeFi launch in Dominica, we actually shared a poll just to get a feel of what what students are looking for in Dominica, the gaps in the sense of what fields they wish to study in, what's their latest qualification. And in about 24 hours, Mr. Williams, since we launched, we received over 400 and something responses of persons, yes, of persons indicating their interest. And the calls, we were so inundated with calls. And
I
this
can
is just in
imagine.
Dominica. And I think ever since, it's been like what a mere months later, and we are still under a lot of pressure in trying to keep up with the calls and the
You guys have you guys
applications.
you guys
But
you guys have good problems.
it is a good headache. It is a good headache. So I think that's the beautiful thing about it, and the fact that it's an opportunity that persons were basically just waiting on, and it's there. It's there for you. It's there for Dominica, and we definitely need to take advantage of it. So I can share an example. A credit runs about a regular credit at a US university runs for about 500 and something US dollar. The set credit amount at Devry is 515 US dollars a credit. And that is for students who are applying to Devry. But for Dominicans, this is slashed in half.
Yep.
So it's just about $257 for a graduate course credit. So that's essentially what it means. And for persons who wish to pursue a graduate credit, which is usually about 700 to 1,000 USD dollar, that is slashed in half again. So we're talking about three something for a graduate credit. So take, for instance, I can use perhaps an example if someone wishes to pursue a bachelor's in cybersecurity, which is a course being offered at DeVry. A bachelor's degree course in cybersecurity consists of about 124 credits if you're starting from scratch. Normally, that would be about 63,000 US dollars. But under the Bridge to Brilliance scholarship, you Dominican students can pay about $31,000 for a 3 to 4 year degree program that persons would usually take a huge loan lump sum to pay. And on top of that, there is no application fee, and the program itself offers flexible payment options. So students are not even taking upfront loans to start their courses. I think that's another amazing and beautiful thing about this opportunity. So you can opt to pursue a course, one course at a time. So ideally, as we sometimes advise students to take 2 courses per semester because it's more financially manageable, and these are students who are also working in full-time jobs. So it's financially and mentally available and conducive for them, for their situation, really. And the students don't have to pay the tuition fees for the courses upfront, so long as you pay it before you complete the semester, which runs for 4 months. I mean, come
Oh,
on.
that is great. So you don't have to pay. Let's make sure our audience gets that point. So you don't have to pay the tuition upfront, which is what most universities do. I know that's how
Right.
I paid for college.
Mhm.
So you can pay it within the 8 weeks of the semester. So guys, you
The
can
4 months.
essentially set up your own payment plan and just make sure you have the amount. I mean, this is brilliant. Have the amount to pay that course by the end. So you have 8 weeks to come up with the money to pay for this course. And you know, the other thing I'm thinking as you're giving us this great information is the other expenses that come with traveling overseas to go to college, right? So it's not just paying your
Yes.
tuition and your school fees, it's always also paying for your housing, it's also paying for your transportation, it's also paying,
Mhm.
you know, your utilities and your groceries. But if you're already living at home in Dominica with your parents, nothing changes. Nothing changes. Whatever expenses you are currently taking care of are the expenses you will continue taking care of. Nothing will be added to your plate because sometimes you go overseas to study and there are unanticipated charges that you never thought to consider. Right now, you need a car to get to campus, you know. But if you're in Dominica, whatever mode of transportation you were using before, so it is truly a wonderful opportunity. So him and I see you beaming with pride over there. So kind of just tell us what you're thinking of right now.
Yeah, well, also this encourages individuals to seek employment as well. You
Mm,
know, so individuals could get their jobs. You know, and quite a lot of employers would require someone that would have maybe a 5 year plan with them. You know, when we employ individuals, we would not want to employ you for the first semester. This would damage the business. But if we are sure, certain that you're going to be with us for maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, we'll be happy. And what we can see with some individuals that have chosen to do the Devry program. They can work, they can pay for the program, they can work at their own pace. They could do one course at a time because there are 6 entry points. They could do 2 courses the next semester. Maybe they could afford one the following one. They could skip one and do another, and that would still allow them to complete the degree in 3 to 4 years. It's just how well we could manage our time and then the finances. When I give advice to some individuals, sometimes it could be, kind of stress or burden as to how you're going to get the monies. But on the final year, this is an avenue where we could just advise somebody, okay, at that point you could maybe just take a loan just to complete the program. But if you have a job, you can actually do that without loans, and that is the main point there, and that is where I feel with this argument, and also Miss Wallace make mention of that individuals don't have to pay all the money up front, but you just have to pay it within the 8 weeks. So you could be negotiating, you could be working on some plans, and you may be short of maybe 500 US, and you could get that within 8 weeks, and you could still have your semester payment covered. So that is real opportunities for Dominicans, and it's not available for an institution. It is not available like for during the time of Ross University. It was only for the employees there.
Yes, I remember that. So what he's essentially saying, guys, if you remember when Ross University, Ross School of Medicine was in Dominica, DeVry was only offering opportunities to the employees
Right.
of Ross University. And I think many of us remember that very clearly. But now the opportunity is available to all of Dominica. And that begs the question, is it also available to other Caribbean territories?
Yes, it is available to other Caribbean territories, and we're having this discussion to to target the countries that are not within CARICOM. But that is in some close discussion as to how we're going to approach these initiatives. So in the places like Saint Martin, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Montserrat, those places, we have some discussion as to how we could bridge those opportunity, have this opportunity available to these countries.
Yeah, because we have to remember that I'm always partial. I'm always going to be partial to Dominicans. So we have other people on these other islands, but we also have Dominicans who are
Yes.
on these islands that may benefit from this program as well. And I'm assuming, of course, there's a financial benefit to academics for being the host of this particular program. You guys are not doing this program with Dubai for free, so congratulations on that. But how many students do you currently have enrolled in this program?
Well, the administrator that would be dealing with the students directly would be able to give us that number. Oh, Miss Wallace, do you have this number at this time?
Ballpoint, 10, 5, 15.
No, no, no.
I
It's more than 10.
don't. I
It's
don't, but
more
it's definitely in excess of that, yes.
Okay.
I think we have been working at present with about 150 applications at present, not including those that actually
Yes.
started the program. So these applicants, they may not do the program, but they have different semesters they will be starting. So it have quite a few that have started. In fact, Devry is so impressed with what we have done. I think we are how would call it the leading country in the Caribbean now that they're using us to do quite a lot of stuff.
Good,
The
good. And that
government
gets and
decided
that
to-
gets your name out there because remember you also offer your other programs to other Caribbean islands as well. So it's not only getting the VRI out there, but it is also getting academics. School
right.
of Learning out into the public. So I just want to kind of recap. And guys, always remember that if you missed any portion of the program, you can simply go to YouTube or Facebook and type in Q95 FM radio, and you will be able to catch the replay. Or you can go on my Facebook page, Push Past 10. By the way, I'm almost up to 19,000 followers. So thank you for your support. And you can catch the replay there as well. But just to kind of recap, so we're talking about this very important partnership that Academic School of Learning located in Portsmouth has secured with DeVry University, which is a US-based, globally recognized university. And that partnership started as of the summer of 2025. So now DeVry is able to offer at a discounted price. And I'm going to have you guys call Academics to find out exactly the tuition and the cost and all that stuff. But at a discounted price to Dominica, you can get certificate programs, you can get your associate degree, you can get your bachelor's degree, you can get your master's degree. So if you have already started a program, you took some courses, but you've never completed your degree, and we know quite a few of us have started programs and just, for one reason or another, did not complete these programs. This is your opportunity to invest in yourself, to invest in your career, invest in your career path. So keep in mind also that you do not need to pay the price of the course up front. That is a very important point. So you can enroll for the course and you have up to 8 weeks to get the money together to pay for the course, because we all know this is tough and difficult economic times. So not everybody's going to have the money up front, but you have 8 weeks. If you don't pay it by the 8th week, then, you're just not going to get the credits. So you would have sat in the class for all those weeks and you can't get the credit. So make sure you can accumulate the money during that time so that you can finally achieve that goal of earning that degree and getting those job opportunities that you've always wanted. So the other question that comes to mind very quickly is, would this opportunity qualify for getting a student loan in Dominica? So for example, can someone go to Aid Bank and say that I'm enrolling with the DeVry for Academics, and would they be able to secure a student loan?
We are currently in discussions, and in fact, in just a few days, one of our DeVry reps, Mr. John Evans, would be on island, and we'll be engaging with discussions with different financial institutions and looking into this opportunity for students. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but definitely it's something that we'll share more of in the coming days.
Yes, thank you for that. So that is something you guys can look forward to. And as you receive more information, guys, feel free to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to share it. I would also like to invite you back to come and give us any updates on what is going on in 2026, because, I'm booked for the end of the year. This program books up very quickly, and we are grateful. And we are grateful for that. So this is really good information. But before we run out of time, I also want to touch on the culinary program that you're now doing with Canada, because I'm telling you, talk about education innovation, like Heman mentioned at the beginning of the program. So it seems like Academics is just blazing the path. Right? It's just turning education on its head in Dominica, because unfortunately, and I'm going to say it's unfortunately, we are not innovating enough when it comes to education in Dominica. Right? So we need to see a lot more of, for example, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. That is the direction of the world. right now. We need to see more of that. We need to see more robotics. We need to see AI. AI is a big push right now. So we have to keep on top of these developments, because if we don't, our young people are going to be left by the wayside, right? So that is where we are with these programs. But tell us about the culinary program, because I suspect that you guys have more ideas up your sleeves, more opportunities that you're looking at into the future. And it is very exciting to know that there's an institution on the ground in Dominica who is thinking outside of the box, thinking of other ways to provide educational opportunities. So before we run out of time, just tell us quickly, how did the opportunity for the culinary program with an institution in Canada, how did that come about, and when did that go into effect?
Okay. We started to deal with a practical. We wanted a practical program, at least for our students, and we know in the secondary schools you would have food and nutrition being taught, and the students would not like continue after the secondary education. And with all the hotels that we have in the country, we wanted to ensure that our students that did food and nutrition would actually have an opportunity to go into these hotels and perform a role that we know they can. We have a lot of foreign chefs. Antigua has a lot of culinary arts students, and the opportunity, of course, could be in Dominica. So we did little research. We had a partner that we could reach out to and discuss few opportunities, and then the culinary arts come to us. When we started it, I had the same thought like some of the other individuals, like, how do you do culinary arts online? And then,
Exactly.
it took us some time, it took us some time. But then after all these discussions with the director, with the president of the school, we saw that this school was accredited across America. It was well recognized, and they have available professional certificates in the culinary arts. So in discussion, I asked for a sample of what we are getting into. So these individuals are doing culinary online, but just like CSEC or CAPE, where you have SBAs, the practical component of the science subjects, and then you would have lab tech, and then you would have moderators that would actually look to see if, in case you have done the practical aspects of the course, right? This culinary arts program have what we call live graded sessions. So the students would be able to go through this program, and just for the level 1 certificate, the students have to go through 160 tasks. That's going to cover, and that is just for one of the culinary arts levels. 160 tasks where they have to do nutrition in the kitchen, knifing, plating, all those seasoning, how to cut seasoning and so on. But the live graded sessions, they must come in and do it in front of a moderator. So
So that
we
means you have somebody on the ground.
on the ground, yes. Yeah. So we partner with, we wanted to partner with food courts, but the kitchen would be too small. So we partner with a larger kitchen with about 8 stalls, so we can have about two individuals per stall. So that'd be about 16 individuals to 20 individuals in the kitchen at the time with the moderator. So they have to perform these tasks. These tasks, the marks have to go up to Canada. Just like in Cape and CSEC, then the marks have to go to Barbados. Then we have to have these grades to Canada. And also, there are certain areas in the course where the students have to perform the tasks and they have to send the recordings and send the photos. So the practical aspect, there's someone on the ground, but the entire course, how to brine, for example, or how to use herbs in different foods. These are so well structured on the course. It have videos showing you how to do it step by step. And even Miss Wallace, I think, would be looking at those programs in order for her to, prepare some good food.
She learning to cook.
Yeah, so the
He put your business in the streets.
I'm saying, listen.
good meals. That's it. That she can prepare meals.
He said you cannot cook.
So the culinary foundation level 2, it actually dives straight into some real interesting stuff like sauces and rice and grains, how to deal with it, legumes, pasta, meats, different meats like steak. And I of course learn how to bake those whole chicken. It is so well structured. I wish I could show it to everybody, but yeah, just you could just apply and then you'd actually have the experience
Oh yeah.
of how to do so many things. But also this year we introduced baking and pastry, because in the culinary arts program you have baking basics and bread, so the students would be able to bake stuff. But for the baking and pastries, you go a little more into the croissant, into the croissant and all those French pastries and so on. So it's a separate course. And after this course, it have the management section as well that we also negotiate for our students. This one they would get into more of the management of the kitchen. So the first part is the culinary arts, where you cook, you prepare the meals. The baking and pastries would be your baking stuff. You're into all the cakes and the pastries, the croissant and all those other little things. And then you have the management part. That is for students that have completed the culinary arts program. This culinary arts program, after the first year, we have to say that we are proud of the first grouping. Quite a lot of individuals have called us and requested for qualified, certified people to work in their bakeries and work in their food courts and so on. We have sent few students, few areas. Two of our students even reached China. The Ministry of Finance, yeah, actually reached out to us and actually had two of our students go to learn additional stuff in China. So we're seeing progress everywhere. We're
Yes.
seeing progress everywhere. So that
Yes.
is some very big things. And that is just the first step when it comes to culinary arts in Dominica. We'll keep improving. We'll keep communicating, discussing, building those international relations, and see how far we can get Dominican students into these programs.
Yeah, and as I'm listening to you, I know a lot of Dominicans like to cook. So a lot of women in Dominica like to cook. So here's your opportunity to receive a formal training. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know of any other culinary training program in Dominica. So correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Not as yet. I
Okay.
would say not as yet. That is, yeah. But for
Yeah.
now, we are the ones that preparing students.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, appealing to all the women in Dominica who love to cook, who wants to make it a career and make it official, because, saying I cook at home is not going to be enough to get you a job at a hotel in Dominica. Again, the need for qualifications so that you can take your career, take your job to the next level. And I just want to congratulate you guys for leading the way in securing the future of education and training in Dominica. Because again, you haven't boxed yourself in terms of this is what we offer, this is what we've always offered, and this is what we're going to continue to offer. So you've kind of opened up the space, and that kind of brings to mind, because it sounds like you're paying attention to the economic opportunities in Dominica. So with the international airport coming, are you looking at training in airport management, in how to be a professional customer service at the terminals, whatever the roles that are needed for an airport, since you're doing such a great job of paying attention to the needs in Dominica? Has that crossed your mind in terms of equipping the airport with trained professionals?
Oh, sure. We are thinking of quite a lot of things. I'm actually in communication to have an auto mechanic program in the country where we could train young people. I don't want to just say young men. So we would have all the jobs assigned to women, some to men, but to train young people how to deal with electric cars and hybrid cars and so on. So it's a online program, but the individuals have to be in a well-equipped garage. So I had communications with the owner of a garage already, and I still have in negotiations with the people in Canada again. They have a real good program up there for skills training. So we're trying everything. As to the customer service for the airport, we have discussed with Devry on the gaps that we can find in certain industries, and that they can actually build courses that could help in these areas. And of course, as we keep building the partnerships with the corporates, this is something that we can do, and we look forward to doing. So
Yeah.
customer service is one thing that we lack in Dominica.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That is something that we have already discussed with Devry. Devry works, and for them to be able to build a cost for us. But of course, we're still in the process where we meet with the corporates, and then just next week, when Mr. John Evans will be coming with us, we'll be meeting with some of the corporates, and we will have quite a lot of meetings and discussions that could help take Dominica forward with these deep red programs.
Yeah, well, I can't congratulate you enough for being the leader in innovation in education. I think a lot of schools, I think you should be on the board of the Ministry of Education in terms of providing educational innovation in Dominica, and just thinking beyond the academics, thinking beyond what is currently offered, and the importance of those partnerships, those worldwide partnerships that you're building to bring those resources to Dominica is certainly impressive. So I want to thank the both of you for being here. I think we have a lot to unpack still. So sometime in 2026, when things are up and running, I would be happy to host you again. We have Danelle on the Facebook Live. She says, great program. You Get Centilla says, hi, listening. Wish I had that growing up. Brilliant idea. So that's from Yugat. Thank you so much, Yugat. And then Marshall says, congratulations, great vision. So guys, thank you for being here. Any final thoughts you would like to share? The time goes by so quickly, but any final thoughts you would like to share before we wind down this evening? Wendy?
I think when we look at education in Dominica over the past few years, we have always addressed changes, but these changes have always sought to resolve or to solve short-term problems. Like we're building new schools for school access. We're talking about exam performance and these things. And but we have never yet stopped to ask ourselves what it is that we need education to do in Dominica. Essentially, we're looking at the question: how should education prepare the students that we are educating to lead in these industries like agriculture, like green energy, like tourism, local governance? That is a question we have to stop and ask ourselves, and we have yet to ask ourselves that question. Listen, education is changing, and we have to change. We have to move with the times. And at Academic School of Learning, our mission really is to prepare our students and by extension the wider Caribbean to compete confidently, not just to compete, but to compete confidently in this global digitized economy. And whether it is that we're going to fight to establish partnerships locally, regionally, and internationally, we're going to do that so that we can prove that quality education doesn't have to be out of anybody's reach, no matter your circumstances, no matter where you come from. So I would just like to encourage your listeners: invest in your growth and let us stop be exploited. The lack of investment in our growth is what is exploiting us. And I think that the future belongs to those of us who are eager to invest, who are eager to adapt, to learn, to be prepared to innovate and be open to change. So Academics will continue to be here. We'll continue to build bridges for our people to learn, and will continue to be the driving force behind education in Dominica.
Yeah, it's very well said. I couldn't have said it better. Before I come to you, Heman, I also wanted to note to our audience, make this a salient point, that we talked about these disabilities, those with disabilities. I like to say differently able. So you do provide accommodations for differently able people. So we want to make sure that we remind them that there's a place for them also at Academics. And guys, if you're afraid of technology, do not let that stand in your way. I'm sure that Academics provides some kind of orientation so that when you sign up for the programs, you probably have someone who's going to show you how to use the technology. And if it is anything like what I use with University of Phoenix, it is going to be seamless. I always say it, if you can use WhatsApp, because we're all on WhatsApp, if you can use WhatsApp, you can learn to use other educational tools so that you do not miss out on these opportunities. So I want to remind the audience the phone number for Academics. Hopefully you grabbed your pen and your paper, since I asked you to get it way before time. And if you're a good student, you have your pen and paper. So the phone number, again, area code 767 317-6144, 767-317-6144, and the email Academics School, SOL, so ACADEMIX SOL at outlook.com for more information. So Heman, your final words as we get ready to wind down.
Well, we in Dominica are in an unusual situation. You know, the elderly are nearing retirement, the young are still going to school, and our working class is migrating for better opportunities. This leaves a critical skill vacuum in the country. And while we're introducing civics education, TVET programs, this is all good, but it must not be the finish line. Civics can help rebuild national values and community spirit. TVET, of course, can strengthen hands-on and employable skills where it is vital. But we need to balance tradition with transformation. The world is moving forward with automation and artificial intelligence, digital economy, and Dominica urgently needs those things like doctors, IT specialists, those cybersecurity experts, engineers, and data scientists. And these are not just careers, they are pillars of national development. And I just want to leave with the audience now that Dominica must now move from resilience to relevance and from survival to innovation. Because we seem to stick on resilience so much in the country. That's our famous word. Um, but we have always been a nation that was defined by resilience, from devastation of Hurricane Maria to challenges of the pandemic with less than 60,000 people, a million. We've proven that our strength lies in our ability to rebuild. But you see, now in this world, we need a national education policy that prepares students for AI-driven automated economies, because that is what we're getting into. Reform must focus on digital literacy. I remember for years I've been teaching, and numeracy and literacy have been the norm. Every meeting we had to speak about that. But now I feel every single meeting the ministry have to bring forth should be on digital literacy, critical thinking, and global collaboration. We cannot be left behind in the world in 2025 and beyond. And if we're not moving forward, the world is moving, so therefore the gap is increasing. So we have to be able to build a education system for tomorrow. Because if we build it for today, today will be soon gone. And that is the final words for.
Oh, very well said. You know, I could speak to you guys for another 2 hours. So hopefully we can have you on board for a future program. But I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for being the leaders in education, innovation in Dominica, the leaders in securing the future of our young and not so young people in Dominica when it comes to education and training. And guys, don't forget, you can catch the replay. If you missed anything, don't forget to share this information with anyone you know who has started a program, never finished, or who is looking to advance their education, but they are it's daunting to be able to go and try to get a visa and all the other expenses. So now you have the opportunity for a globally recognized educational brand, Devry University. And we know Devry very well because, again, they were with us when Ross University. So Devry University is no stranger to us. It's not a scam, right? It's not a scam. So if you're looking to invest in your future, invest in the future of your children, I certainly hope that you will take this opportunity. So again, this was Roots Connections. I'm your host, Dr. Simone Matthew, and we were talking about, we were joined by Academix School of Learning as they created this very important partnership with Devry University. And the question we answered today was, how are we working to secure the future of Dominicans youth? So I look forward to being in your company in the next 2 weeks. We're here every second and fourth Wednesday of the month, and we are grateful to be on this journey with you as we continue to harness the power of technology, international radio, social media, and emerging technologies to leverage the skills and the expertise of our Caribbean and Dominican brothers and sisters around the world. And what is our goal? Our goal is creating the strategic alliances, which Academic School of Learning has done very well in order to secure the sustainable development of our Dominica, our Caribbean region, and our worldwide audience, our worldwide diaspora. So if you have any questions, you two are doing a program where, sorry about that, you two are working on a program, you're not thinking about a program, you're working on something that is going to benefit Dominica, and you would like to share it on this program, you can always reach me at pushpast10@gmail.com. So that is pushpast10 at gmail.com. And of course, a lot of people know how to get my phone number. So if you know how to get my phone number, you can also reach me on my phone. So thank you to our audience, whether you listened on the radio or you joined us on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for being here. Lambi, thank you for being on the console. Mr. G showing the Q95 family, thank you for providing this platform where we are able to share great news for the development of Dominica. We truly hope that you will take advantage of the opportunity. And one more time, that phone number, area code 767-317-6144 for Academix School of Learning, leading the way in innovative education in Dominica. So with that, we say good night, good evening. Have a wonderful, restful rest of your night and a wonderful rest of your week. So guys, feel free to unmute your mic and say bye to the audience. And thank you for being with us today. Lambi, thank you. And have a good night, everybody.
Yes, good evening.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Roots Connections on Q, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. every other Wednesday on Q95, the big station. Dominicans journeyed beyond our shores for decades in search of economic opportunities and educational advancement. Many are ready to give back to their cherished nature island. Welcome to Roots Connections on Q. Join Dr.